So today we are checking out an animated story video from Sabaton. This is Night Witches.
The Germans are resting behind the lines of the Eastern Front, their tents in neat rows. All is in order in the quiet and still of the night. It's cold, and the winter snow crunches under the jackboot of a guard. Looking up into the sky, the snow starts to drift down. It's peaceful here. Was that a noise from the sky? No, it's just the wind. Suddenly, piercing the still of the night, there's an otherworldly scream and a whoosh as a dark form speeds by. And was that a woman's laughter in the distance? There are no engine sounds, and the suddenly fearful German soldier loses his footing and whispers under his breath, "Die Nachthexen." The world is all at once a bloom of fire and ash, and two more dark forms pass without a sound. Hearing the whooping and celebration of these supernatural creatures, the guard shakes himself from his fear and calls out, "Die Nachthexen! Die Nachthexen! The Night Witches!" In the sky above, three planes of the soon-to-be famous 588th Night Bomber Regiment, their engines now running, turn east for home. Time to rearm and refuel for another mission. Coming into land, they're greeted by their commissar, Yevdokia Rashkevich. The young girls that form the pilots and navigators are between the ages of 17 and 26. They are desperate to take the fight to the Germans and have traveled from all over Russia to join the all-women regiments. The 588th is where the least skilled of all the women are placed, but that didn't stop them from carving their name in history. In the early days, they were largely ridiculed by the Soviet men. Given men's uniforms that were too big and shoes all of the same size, the women did the best they could with the clothes, making them fit with belts or fitting the large men's shoes with stuffing. The equipment they were given was woefully out of date. The Polikarpov PO2 was a two-man trainer, underpowered and made of cloth and wood. These old string bags were nicknamed crop dusters, or even worse, sewing machines due to the noise their tiny engines made. But the women of the 588 ignored the taunts, and despite the odds, turned the plane's shortcomings to their advantage. The planes at maximum speeds were far below the stall speeds of any of the German fighters. Giving them a tight turning circle, they were almost impossible to hit. They were susceptible to small arms fire and anti-aircraft guns, so their strategy was to attack in threes, with a navigator in each plane. At her signal, the pilot would cut the engines and swoop in slowly, silently, dropping their bombs, dealing death from above. Unexpected, undetected, stealth perfected. If necessary, the other two would draw fire from the fighters or from the ground. They slept during the day and rose at dusk to take their vengeance on the invaders. This unnatural bravery and their stealth tactics earned them their title, the Night Witches. The German ace Johannes Steinhoff said, "We simply couldn't grasp that the Soviet airmen that caused us the greatest trouble were in fact women. These women feared nothing."
Fantastic riff.
You can hide, you can move, just a fight that attacks their roots. In the dark, silent through the night, the witches on the fight. Never miss the mark. Canvas, wings of death, prepare to meet your fate. Night Bomber Regiment, 588. Undetected, unexpected, wings of glory, tell the story. Aviation,
Big, juicy Sabaton.
Retreat into the sound. This in the air. Suddenly appears confirming all your fears. Strength from wishes there. Target bound from around that old sound from the battleground.
Those guitar riffs are sick. Just simple.
Canvas, wings of death, prepare to meet undetected, still perfected. Beneath the starlight of the heavens, unlikely heroes in the sky, as they appear on the horizon, the wind will whisper when
And the guitar work in this is fantastic. This so far has the best guitar work, especially lead guitar work, that I have heard from any Sabaton song at this point. I think I've got 5 or 6 others. We did Bismarck, 40-1, Great War, Uprising. Go check out those if you want to see more of a performance-based live version, if you want to hear me talk a little bit more about the things I'm seeing and experiencing. But the history is fantastic and amazing here. And what they're doing just with those simple guitar riffs and the solo work that I'm now hearing, which I haven't heard much of this in-depth solo work on previous stuff, it really is driving the story, and it is completely appropriate for the energy that the story has, because I can imagine myself on both sides of this story, being fearful on the ground, not knowing what's hitting me from above, but I also get that empowerment that these ladies have from just, saying, fuck you, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get this done regardless of the inequities that you have put upon me, and we're gonna put the fear of God in everybody. This is fantastic. Let's back this up a little bit. I'm loving all the guitar work in this. Obviously, just typical big, juicy Sabaton choruses that I love.
Beneath the starlight of the heavens, unlikely heroes in the sky, as they appear on the horizon, the wind will whisper when the night witches come. Undetected, undetected, wings of
Messing them
glory,
up.
tell the story, deviation, deviation, undetected, still perfected, from the depths of Ellie's islands, faster spells, explosive violence, Russian nighttime flight, perfected, flawless vision, undetected.
32 women, both pilots and navigators, never came home. The 588th became highly decorated and respected, flying more than 23,000 sorties, dropping over 3,000 tons of bombs. 23 Night Witches were awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union, although they were disbanded just 6 months after the war and not allowed to fly in the Victory Parade, given their planes were so slow. From 1956, after she retired from active service, their commissar Yevdokia Rashkevich took it upon herself to find the site of every single one of her girls that was downed, to mark the place and to pay her respects to each one of the incredibly brave Night Witches.
Well, that was just cool as shit. That was fantastic. I don't know that I want to watch every Sabaton song that way, because I've really taken so much, and I think I've been able to grow real quickly into a big fan of the band by seeing that live interaction and seeing how your crowds are responding to them as well. But I know there's a massive historical part to this band. For reference for you guys, history was my worst subject in school. It just takes a lot to get me interested, and you have to be able to tell the story of history quickly enough, well enough to keep my attention. It's me. There's no disrespect intended at all in regards to history because of that. It doesn't talk to me as much, and I don't listen to music for message content as much as a lot of people do. But this whole story and a lot of their stories that they have, you're probably going to see some go backs from me. Like we may even do like a version 2 of some of these reactions, because I know that some of these songs that I've done live actually have animated stories or animated lyric videos and things like that that have a little bit more of the historical piece to them. So I'll probably go back and touch those at some point in time. For the Sabaton fans, though, help me. Outside of Sabaton, who else is on your playlist? What are the top 5 bands you guys are listening to? Because I've never really listened to much power metal. I kind of associate the whole circle over there with the whole Nightwish, Epica, that type of era. And I don't know if that's just because the fans associated that for me because of, the connection with Floor and her husband with Sabaton. I mean, they're not the same. So I'm just kind of curious, is there a pocket of music over there that is similar to Sabaton that has also got a bunch of bands on your top 5 list that I need to check out? Let me know what I should be listening to outside of Sabaton. We'll keep checking out more Sabaton. Question, I hate to be this guy, but so they swooped in and they'd cut their engines, right? There's even a moment in here where they actually show them physically, starting the propeller of the plane, which my extreme lack of knowledge. I know nothing about this. It is a genuine question. Just curious. You can cut your plane off in midair and then restart the engines, or maybe they just don't. Did they land and then have to get out and restart? I mean, I don't know the full story. Maybe I'm just being too much of an analytical dick and I shouldn't even be asking the question, but I'm curious. How did they cut off the engines to their planes and then kickstart them back up without landing them and actually kickstarting them? So somebody who's, I'm sure, an aeronautical aficionado that knows the history of this and probably knows a lot about those planes is probably watching this video. So thank you in advance for educating me on that. This might have become my favorite Sabaton song. Driving guitar riff, nothing overly critical with this, just straightforward metal, a straightforward metal riff that made perfect sense for the energy that this song required, considering the war elements. And the lead work in this was beyond the best that I've heard from Sabaton at this point in time. I was highly impressed. This was right the hell up an old thrash metalhead's alley here. And I know they're not a symphonic metal band. I think I may have referred to them as that before. They've got some of those elements, but my understanding is they're more considered power metal and such. And I know some people like the genres, some don't, but I found this amazing, just musically, regardless of the story. I kind of want, I'm probably going to go back now and check out some live stuff and so on and so forth. Who knows? We'll maybe do some reactions to that. I might just go check it out on my own because now I'm curious to see the live performance of this, because most of what I've done from this has been live so far. But I did want to quench the thirst of those that have been requesting me to do some of these historical type videos as well. There's a lot of me talking about a lot of Sabaton on a lot of other Sabaton reactions, so go check those out if you want to see more of me talking. But this might be my favorite so far. Maybe the story helped it. I don't know, but the guitar work was fast, driving, simple enough for me to love, and the solo and lead work when it was just fantastic. And of course, I, as always, got the big juicy Sabaton chorus. I like the animation that they did here, and I like that they actually put the band in there, kind of in the background as well in certain spots. That was pretty cool. I had a great time reacting to this video, and hopefully you guys had a great time watching my reaction. I'm just an old school metalhead, always have been and always will be. If you're coming over from another video and you're just now checking out Sabaton and thought, holy crap, that was cool, check out my playlist of reactions. I'll help guide you as a newbie through the first 5 to 6 songs. And if you check out the comments in those reactions, the fan base will help you do that as well. And for those that are already in that Sabaton family, I once again thank you for having me.